Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to your Pisces full moon report with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. So I apologize for the recording on this one, but I wanted to make sure that I got it out to you, but I am actually traveling. So I'm filming this ahead of time so that you absolutely do get your full moon report so that you can tap into the energies as best as possible. And as always, I also want to make sure that I can bring you and give you my best. All right. So I just wanted to make sure I got this out for you. Now, with that said, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So, my dear, wonderful people, on the 31st, so remember, whenever I'm talking about astrology, a few things to consider. First one, I use tropical whole sign Western astrology. Which is, the Hellenistic version, basically. I use the whole sign house system. And whenever I'm talking about astrology, especially in terms of event charts like this, I am looking at this from the UK perspective because I live in the UK. So you'll have to adjust the time to wherever it is that you live in the world at this moment in time. All right. So with that said, let's get straight into it. So this one's an interesting one. I'm not going into any of the other transits and stuff that are taking place around this full moon. I really just wanted to focus on the full moon itself, which there isn't a great deal happening with it, but what is happening with it is speaking quite loudly. And then there was another aspect that was taking place as a part of this full moon, which is the sextile between Pluto and Neptune. And I'll get into why I think that's why I thought it was a really important thing that I wanted to look at for each sign as well. So check these for your sun sign, your moon sign, and your ascendant. Check your ascendant first. It's going to be the most beneficial for you on that day-to-day level, especially when we're talking about an event like this, like a full moon or a new moon, because we're talking about your true house, right? So where this is happening in your chart, it's important to know that, because this is going to, lunar transits tend to show up very much on the real world stage, which is like the same, and to a lesser degree, the sun and, obviously the moon, given, it is lunar. But you kind of get my point. All right. So worth mentioning, the full moon is a time where the sun and the moon are on opposite sides of the heaven, right? Of the heavens, so the celestial spheres are literally directly opposite each other. So in terms of like, whenever I'm talking about a lunar transit, I always say to people, it's kind of like a pregnancy. The full moon is when a woman gets to that point, she's absolutely massive, ready to pop. And this is the point where a full moon is known for endings, completions, culminations, right? And so I often say to people, a full moon is an ending, a completion, and a culmination, but it'd be the end of the pregnancy, but it's the beginning of the life of the child. It's the end of the pregnancy, but it's the beginning of motherhood or parenthood for the person that's going to be the primary caregiver for that child. So, you can see this in terms of projects and stuff as well. The new moon is where you plant seeds, where conception happens, and then it will grow towards full, right? Everything in life is cyclic to once, to in some way, shape, or form. Now, in terms of this, wherever Luna is at the moment that she's full, usually the sign and the trope that it falls in, the energy that's being birthed into the world for everybody it comes through the lens of that, right? So the full moon is shining its light through the constellation of Piscean energy, and that is dissipating onto us down here in the world. Now, since the moon itself represents the people, the material, and the day-to-day experience, it usually plays out on that sort of real world stage like I was talking about. Emotions tend to be heightened at this time. Something is brought to light, right? And interestingly enough, as you know, like the tides swell around the full moon. Interesting fact as well, I was talking to a much dear loved relative, and some little gem of wisdom that they passed on to me, which I thought was really cool because it ties into everything that I do, was if you're going to purchase crab, do it around the time of the full moon, because that's when they are really like juicy and fertile for the eating, if you are so inclined. So I thought that was really cool. I think it's the same for shrimp, prawns, etc. as well, and Lobster. So it's, if you want to get anything like that and you're going to buy it fresh, around the time of the full moon is the right time. I was like, that is so fucking cool. It's like a little moment of having like a complete geek out, but I thought it was cool anyway. That's just me and my inner nerd coming through. So because emotions, you know, the moon is a very powerful influence on human beings, right? Our hair cycle, our hair and nail growth cycle syncs up to the moon. So your hair will grow quicker on the approach to the full moon, and it slows down when the moon is waning, right? All of these things can be checked scientifically. You speak to police officers, people that work in accident and emergency, people that work as bouncers and stuff in clubs, they all look out for the full moon. Why? Because they know around that time emotions tend to be a little closer to the surface and people will be a little bit more lunatic, right? Literally, like, you can't make this stuff up. It's so cool. So this one is in Pisces, in the final sign of the zodiac. Now, this is the sign of a collection of all things and signs prior to it in the deepest space. And these all reside in that space, or that element, that energy of Pisces. Right. And so this is the dream realm. It's what I call the collective unconscious, the fantasy, mirroring, creativity, pure vibrational energy. All this stuff is found in Pisces. This is the sign of self-sacrifice. It's the sign of true altruism. It's the sign of the underdog, you know, the marginalized, etc. A lot of people say is Aquarius energy is very much out there on the fringe on its own, for sure. And it does represent the strange and the xeno everything. But Pisces is where you truly care about that thing that is outside of society. That's why it rules, you know, things like hospitals, ashrams, churches, all of those places that are considered a sanctuary of sorts are all Piscean places and spaces. Now, this is, Pisces is a water sign. The moon itself is a watery being, and for that reason, this is a very spiritual moon, right? It's a creative and powerful moon, and it's, you know, it's a time where our emotions are definitely close to the surface, but it's also a time where we can gain really deep spiritual wisdom and insight because it's a full moon, right? Which means it's highlighting some kind of truth to us. It's sharing some kind of wisdom from that collective unconscious. And, you know, although the houses and the signs are very different things, they're very distinct systems, it's important to know that there is an overlap. And I see Pisces as very much that, it's the collective. It's a collection of all of the signs that came before it. Now, of our, you know, from our own deep well of inner wisdom, something is bubbling up. Pisces is a very intuitive energy. So this can be a time where we might come into some kind of really deep intuitive understanding. What's interesting to me here, this is, and what I felt was quite special about this, it's the first full moon in this sign that houses both Saturn and Neptune, and that any of us will have seen in our lifetimes, right? Because Saturn is newly in the sign of Pisces. It's only going to be there for 2.5 years. Neptune takes a very long time to travel the zodiac. So this is a very special full moon for that reason. I think we'll only have one more, possibly two, give or take. But we'll only have one more of these, right? And that will be next year. So this is a really powerful moment. It's a really big moment. Neptune is Lord of the Seas, right? It's spiritual, transcendental energy. It's high and fine vibrational energy. And it's like, I want to tell you about seer visions, right? So stick with me here, because when I was doing the write-up for this, I was like, yeah, and this came to me and I was like, I think this is a really important point. Now, why am I talking about Neptune? Because this is happening in the sign of Pisces, and as I said, you know, Neptune and Saturn are both now in the sign of Pisces. Although Neptune isn't making any aspects to the full moon, or, you know, it is something that I'll talk about later in the sextile to Pluto, but I really felt that this was important. All right, so now in terms of when we go seeking for a vision, The rule is that you don't look directly at it, right? So when you see something out the corner of your eye, when you're doing, you don't look directly at it. When you're doing mirror gazing or inner eye work. So there's a technique where if you are, if you're so inclined, or you've done your research, or you've done your history and you've delved into this stuff at any point, one of the tricks that they, well, not tricks, but one of the techniques that they teach you very early on, I was taught this very, very early on when I was like 15. I probably shouldn't have been learning a lot of the stuff that I was learning at that point, but whatever. One of the techniques that they teach you is you gaze into somebody's eye, just the one eye you focus on, and then you watch like the faces change and the different, things and visions and stuff come out of the eye and shape them, and you can see past lives and potentially future ones, etc. It's a really cool technique. But you are taught in that you don't look directly at the vision, right? And it's the same thing for when you go seeking visions. If you look directly at it, it'll collapse, right? And so that kind of focus is too powerful for something that's ethereal or gaseous in energy, right? So like, I know this is really deep stuff, and I'm probably, maybe losing some people, or maybe I'm not, maybe you're even more switched on now, which, if you're part of the Reydiant Nation, you guys love a little bit of the weird and wonderful. So yeah, like, it's like once you have gently held your focus, you let the images play out, right? And so around this full moon, whatever vision comes to you, whatever you see out of the corner of your eye, whatever dream you have, don't snatch at it. Don't gaze right at it really hard. Just gently let it unfold. Let it come to you, right? It's like a cat. You can't command a cat to do shit because they just look at you and they're like, really? Bow to me, peasant. Right? Like you let them come to you, and it's very much the same with vision. Now, Neptune is a part of this full moon because it's in the sign of Pisces. Neptune is the modern ruling planet of Pisces. It's at the tail end of Pisces at the moment, in its sign of, rulership, and it's currently retrograde, which means it's giving us the chance to reconnect and tap into our intuition, into our creativity, into our higher spiritual nature. Neptune can also distort, as we know, right? Which is one of the reasons I've been telling everybody, make sure your spiritual practice is strong. It's a Neptune-ruled year because the number 7 is ruled by Neptune. Neptune gives us the power to transcend the earthly reality, the hard, to go beyond, to envision the highest and the greatest that we possibly can. Saturn, newly in the sign of Pisces, is also doing great work here, right? He's been here now since the 7th of March. Imagine that, a number 7, right? The full moon falls at 7 degrees of Pisces. You cannot make this stuff up, right? We're in a numerological year 7. The full moon is at 7 degrees. And Saturn, when it turned retrograde this year, which I think it was June the 17th, maybe, there's another 7, went retrograde at 7 degrees, right? So this full moon is packing a very spiritual energy behind it. Saturn, although gets a hard rap, is actually a very spiritual energy, especially following a lot of the teachings that one of my astrological teachers, Adam Ellenbus, really tried to instill that in us in his program, that Saturn is a very spiritual energy. And when you really start to tap into what it is and what it does and how it works, you can absolutely see that. Saturn is sobering, steady influencing. It brings things to ground, weight, stillness to whatever it touches. Pisces is a boundless energy. Saturn is boundaries. And so what we have here is Saturn saying, let me show you how to make the vision real. Let me provide you with a firm, solid container for this energy so that you can really build it, right? Let me reveal to you where your plans are not watertight. Let me show you what it is, like what's required of you to make that wonderful vision of yours a reality. Both these energies are providing the right track that we need in order to succeed and excel. I truly believe that. It is a full moon, so it's an ending, completion, culmination point. But just like that, like I said, a pregnancy doesn't just end. It's the birth of a child where a whole new something begins. So it's for us to do what the sun and the moon are doing at the moment, and this is to balance out the energies. Now, in terms of the aspect that I want to talk about, the moon is conjunct Saturn, right? So Saturn is at, I think it's like 9 degrees. Saturn is at 9 degrees, the moon is at 7, right? So this is a tight conjunction. There is a realization here. Saturn is bringing a reality check with our plans. Deep understanding sets in on what is required of us now. Saturn is associated with discipline, hard work, limitations. And I think of this more in the case of providing training wheels. The training wheels on your bike, do you remember those? I never had them. I taught myself to ride a bike, and I can literally verify that to you. My mum will tell you the same thing. I taught myself to ride a bike, no stabilizers. Right. The other thing, aside from that, is like, when you go to the bowling alley and they put the gutter thingies up on the alley for the young'uns, right? That's what that conjunction with the moon and Saturn is doing, I feel. I also feel that since Pisces is where we regenerate and prepare for what is born in Aries, this full moon is really highlighting the internal structures of your mental, spiritual, energetic, and creative worlds. Are they right? Are they airtight, right? Do you really have a vision, or do you just have a fantasy? Do you know the difference between those two things? All really, really important stuff. And I think that's what Saturn is providing us with. Now, on top of this, like I said, the only other thing that I really wanted to look at here is because Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and the full moon is happening in the sign of Pisces, Neptune is currently square to Pluto. I like this for understanding, and both of these planets are currently retrograde, I might add. I like this for understanding both the hang-ups that we have, what we've sacrificed too much of, or what we've given our power away with, right? Remember, Pisces represents that great self-sacrificing energy. I also kind of got the feeling from this as well that we'd be connecting, like, because they're connecting almost like exactly, it's like a 2-degree orb in a retrograde. There's a chance here to reconnect to your personal power, to re-envision your abilities, but like to really understand where something now needs to come to an end in order for us to extract the vision whole so that we can build it in the real world, right? So this is about taking something out of the realm of fantasy, placing it or understanding its anchoring in the realm of probability, and then finding a way to extract that and place it into the real world. A sextile is only an opportunity, which means it needs to be worked, right? It needs effort for it to come about. It won't just happen on its own. Pluto in Capricorn, back in Capricorn, girl. The structures of our lives, the methods, the hierarchies, the control that is in place is being rethought and redistributed in some way, shape, or form. Pluto is the planet that reveals and releases the purest potential in something. But in order to do that, it will take out whatever is not in integrity or is not doing, whatever is obsolete. Pluto basically says, no, we're chucking it out. I see Pluto as like the grand auditor of the zodiac, right? It's like when Pluto comes in and says, no, this isn't happening, it's not happening, or it is, or you know what I mean? Neptune in Pisces is at home. That's altruistic, idealistic, powerful, spiritual energy. It's also the fine, transcendental, and sacrificing energy. And it's also confusion, delusion, so you've got to be careful because there's also a deceitful layer around Neptune when it's in its unconscious energies. In the connection between the ethereal world, Pisces, right, and the material world, Capricorn, and their signs respectively, there's an opportunity with this full moon to get real about what it's going to take, or what needs to be released to make your plan, your vision, your goal, or whatever it is come together. The sun and the moon are in earth energies, right? So Pisces and Virgo. So the sun is in Virgo, that's earth. The moon is in Pisces, that's water. Saturn is an earth energy, and it's currently in the sign of Pisces, and Neptune is a water energy, right? So we've got a lot of this kind of cross energies going on between all of this, these energies, right? Now, Saturn is retrograde at the time of this full moon. And like I said, you know, Saturn was at 7 degrees when it went retrograde. So I just a really, really interesting. Sorry, Saturn isn't at 9 degrees. It's actually at 3 degrees of Pisces at the time of this full moon. So all of that 7 energy, what it can be is clarity, wisdom, and it will come through study, reflection, and peace. Or it can be lies, illusions, delusions, and deceit. The choice really is up to us. Now, if you ever saw my numerological year 7, the overview for this year, you know in that video, I talked about the world as your mirror, and what you're getting is actually what you're putting out. Even if that's just at an unconscious or an energetic frequency, the world is showing you right now. And at this full moon, even more so. This is going to require a level of honesty with yourself. Forget everybody else for a moment, that, you know, a lot of people kind of find uncomfortable. So what it will be or can be really is your choice. All right. So let's get into the forecast for the signs. It's going to be short, sweet, and to the point. Aries, for you, this full moon is happening in your 12th house. This is a bright light being shone into your personal closet. Where do you get in your own way? Where have you lost your connection to source, maybe? Do you feel ready to pull away from the world for a moment and start creating a life in more accordance with what you believe to be spiritual or the correct spiritual values? Wouldn't be a surprise at this time. Are you ready to get right on the inside? Because that's what the full moon is really trying to show you. Like the more secure and settled and stable and deeply understanding you are of yourself in that deep internal space, the easier it will be for you to get into that element of being unfuckwithable, right? And really being able to make advancement in your life. Once you know, and they say, like, once you really claim your shit, you know, like, life gets so much better. That's what this full moon is going to highlight to you. Now, the Pluto-Neptune sextile, this is happening for you across the 10th house of career and social status, and the 12th house, which is where that moon is happening. Now, the connection between these two for you is in your past and privacy and hidden space, the 12th, but it's also in your most public status sort of sense as well. This might be a time where a status change comes in. So this could be a new job, a new partner that you're revealing to the world. Life direction gets very public recognition in some way, shape, or form. And it might be for some of you as well that you return to an old industry that you've come out of. So maybe you say to yourself, you know what, I want to go back into hospitality. You know, I'm working an office job. I'm not really enjoying it. It's time for me to go back. Maybe you're restructuring your public persona in some way, shape, or form in line with something that feels more wholesome or more spiritual as you understand it. All right, your card for this full moon, my dear Aries, is the Tower, right? So this has the chance for you to really have some big realization, some big moment where you understand something at a really deep level. And this is the thing, you know, when we have those ground-shattering realizations about some kind of wrong move or faux pas or whatever it is that we've made, you don't have to share that with the world. I've got to be honest, because the 10th house is kind of involved here with Neptune. You might not have the option to keep it under wraps. But I can tell you that this realization it will be exactly what you need to really advance your life forward. All right. That's the saving grace here. And there is a lot of saving grace around it because it's Pisces. Pisces is a very giving energy. It's also a very self-sacrificing energy. So, you know, there's a few things that are kind of being said here. Now, for Taurus, this for you guys is happening in your 11th house, a full moon in the benefactor house, in the space of your chart that rules friendships, ambitions. This is a chance for you to really see what's what and who is who, right? Especially in the space of connections, like on that sort of larger scale. It's also the house of social media. So you could be looking to find a way to leverage that in some way, shape, or form, or making changes to your future plans and your longer term goals. So it could actually be really nice because the 11th house is the future that you envision for yourself. right? And it's like your long-term plans, goals, aspirations, hopes and dreams, your ambitions. So this could be really nice. Now that Pluto-Neptune sextile, the opportunity here is connecting with an old friend from the past, possibly for some of you. It could be that you're rethinking your social structures in some way, shape or form as well. And it might be that you need to reorganize your connections to the wider world to take advantage of some kind of international connection that's available to you. I really love this as well for considering something like a podcast, you know, or something along those lines, because it's the ninth house, publishing books, blogs, etc. I really love this because it also looks like some kind of legal matter. You're getting a thorough look at this, right? A second look at it in some regards as well. It might be a lot of hard work, but it's like maybe you decide to pick some kind of study back up. And that sees you really, like, if you're prepared to really do the work with this, to really sacrifice yourself to the work, then you could get like really solid recognition that comes out of it at a later date. You will need solid organizational plans around this though. For this, you've got the Nine of Pentacles. So this is twofold, right? In one regard, the Nine of Pentacles is actually a card of very hard work. In its complete opposite space, it's actually the card that represents stopping to smell the roses. This message for me, given everything that's come up with the astrology of this full moon, the full moon is basically saying you have to find the enjoyment in the hard work in order to extract the goodness that will come from it. All right. Like this is you getting really well acquainted with doing the hard graft. Which, you know, I've never met a Taurus that was afraid of hard work, to be fair. So, you know, I think you'll be all right. Gemini, my dear fellow air signs, this for you is happening in your 10th house of career. This is your career sector. It's highlighting the changes that you have made already, but it's also providing light and Saturnian stability to your ideas and your creations. It's kind of reminding you that like the success that you're looking for will only come through that hard work. It's that sustained effort, right? Now, while it is a full moon, which means something is completing here, it's also like the beginning of the birth of whatever your work-based baby career, etc. might be. If you're single, this could be a status change. So maybe you and somebody make it official. If you're partnered, this could be maybe you and a partner make it official and say, you know, I think we're going to call it a day. Venus is still retrograde, so I'm not sure how well that will hold. But like I said, this whole transit is really highlighting where something is not as watertight as it needs to be. Pluto and Neptune in that sextile for you is happening across the 8th and the 10th houses. Newfound sense of intimacy is coming in here, right? Maybe one that's more spiritual in nature. It could also be that there's something highlighted to you that really causes a very deep shift in how you see yourself out there in the world, right? So this could be like something is helping you to transform or adapt in your own psychology, how you see yourself, and therefore how other people compensate you for what you offer, right? And that's just a really fancy way of saying like basically how you make your money, because the 8th house is other people's money. So there's something in here about releasing debt on an internal level that makes that happen externally. All right, so this could be very interesting for you guys. You have the 6 of Wands. That's a victory and success energy. And so the fact that you've got this coming up around this means that there is career success absolutely shaping up for you here. And it's also likely because this card, it represents a procession, right? So what happens at a procession, it's like you're celebrating efforts that have already been put in. So this could be a time of actually where you're just collecting as opposed to having to do more. You know, for a select few of you, for sure. For some of you, this might be the birth of a project where now you have, it's like you've had the idea, you've done all of that creative stuff and the research and the and now you've got to build it. All right. For Cancer, this is happening in your 9th house, a full moon in your 9th house of travel. This could be a trip that you've been planning that finally comes together or comes off. It might be that you even complete a course of study of some kind, or that you get like really clear on some kind of legal matter that maybe wasn't so clear previously. Maybe you're putting the skills that you have or the knowledge that you've got to teach to work as a teacher or a lecturer, or maybe even sharing like a deeper sense of yourself with the world through a book or a blog or something along those lines. Or maybe even a podcast for you too, who knows? The ninth is also a place of healing. So you could mend some kind of rift here. Saturn is helping you do this by really, like, it's by giving you like the right stability of character, and your beliefs are being crystallized, right? It's like providing you the energy of clarity and focus that you need by marshalling your belief system and saying, right, this is what this is supposed to do. How do I put this to work for me? Now, that Pluto-Neptune sextile is, for you, is happening across the 7th and the 9th. This is likely to be relationships that you have with powerful people, authority figures, maybe even teachers, mentors, gurus, etc. One could come into your life at this point. Like there might be a moment where the full moon shines on someone and you're like, like this, yeah, this person is meant to teach me in some way. It could also possibly like it could also see you like really finding the honesty that you need to give you the words and the understanding that you need to get right in all of your relationships. Now, in order to clarify what commitment is to you and where it kind of needs to be done better, you might be looking at all of your relationships. Now, remember, this is personal, professional, or platonic. It's not just your significant other. So, this could be the change in a relationship that it's needed. For this, you've got the Knight of Pentacles. So slow and steady is going to win this race for you. And because, this is happening in that 9th house, the 9th house is a house that looks towards the future as well, right? So 9th house and 11th house are both future orientated spaces in the chart. And the Knight of Pentacles is about true determination that comes from within, because he knows he's going to reach that goal. And that's why he can take his time. It's like, you know what? I'll wait forever if I have to, because I know that my goal is coming to be. Leo, my dear fire sign brothers and sisters, or my ascendant brothers and sisters, your full moon in Pisces is happening in your 8th house. So full moon in Leo, this is giving you a much clearer understanding of debt, money, psychology around money. Long-term finances are also found in the 8th house, as well as big money. Like Saturn is also in this space for you. So the 8th house is, taxes and death, sex, the taboo. It's also mortgages, which, what is a mortgage? A death debt, right? That's literally what it means, like a death gauge or a death debt. Which I always thought was really morbid. And I love a bit of macabre, but that I was just like, oh, I don't like the sound of that. Long-term finances here as well. So Saturn being in your 8th house, it's not good or bad, right? It just is. And so it's probably, for some of you, for some of my clients at least, I've heard, it's wiped out their savings, it's tightened their belt, like maybe even humbled you a little bit when it comes to money. And this is a good thing, because it's really helping you redefine your worth, because it's showing you that the old ways of doing everything when it comes to making money from or through other people, they're not helping you and they're not serving you anymore. It's like that deep transformative energy is what you find in the 8th house. It's a truly regenerative space in the chart. And the full moon highlights what you're afraid of, right? In the house of conflict and, unsettled energies. Like, it's basically showing you how you can go about dismantling Saturn retrograde, the systems or the structures in your life that generate, promote, or keep you held back by preying on your fears, right? So this is a time to get free for a lot of you Leo people. Now, that Pluto-Neptune sextile, the opportunity here is to redefine and reestablish the power players in your life, whether this is you as a power player, whether it's somebody else that has power over you or has more power in your life than you would like, specifically your work life as well. And so, because this is happening for you across that 6th, 8th house. So it's also helping you see clearly that that and those around you that can help you. It's showing you how to extract the good things from the hard spaces in your life and turn them into treasured gold. I don't know if you've heard the Adele song, like I turn my sorrows into treasured gold. Is the line of the song. It does feel to me like there's a financial opportunity that could come in here, but you have to be very internally clear to decide whether it's right for you at this moment in time, or whether it's just another power play. For this, you've got the Eight of Wands. So there is message, knowledges, wisdom, etc. that are coming in with this full moon for you that could actually really help you further some of your goals. It might even be a teacher or a mentor of some type that comes in to really help you. The image that I see in my mind, though, I don't know if you ever saw the Kill Bill films. I absolutely loved them. That was a little bit of me. But in the second film, you see her training like with the guy, like the main guy, right? And he's basically was never going to train her, but he did. And in the end, she was kind of like the one that he was most proud of. That's what I feel like this will be. So if you've got a teacher, a mentor, a coach, or some sort, someone's coming in, this is not going to be someone that is light and fluffy and is going to be like, oh, you know, we'll get you over the finish line and I'll hold your hand the whole way. This is going to be someone that makes you climb, you know, if you ever saw the Kung Fu film, that makes you climb those 178 steps with 2 pails of water on your back, or somebody that drills something into you over and over until you get it. So there's hard work in this full moon for you, Leo, but it's going to be good, I think. In the long run, I think you'll look back on this one and you'll be like, yeah, I'm glad that one happened in that way or whatever. So for Virgo, the full moon for you is happening in your 7th house of relationships, right? It's highlighting the relationships in your life, your personal, professional, or platonic relationships. It's showing you who is committed to your connection and who isn't, and anything or any connection or, you know, collaboration even that is not airtight may now start its process. It could also be that a partner, you know, of the sort of previous descriptions could be going, like you and a partner could be going public on something. So maybe you say like, oh, you know, we're pregnant, yay. Or, you know what, we've been working on this merger for the longest time. We're now ready to present it to the world. You know, we've been working on this product or this service, etc. And now we're ready to release it out into the world. I love this because Saturn is really giving that stabilizing. And in the 7th house, Saturn does good work in the 7th because it actually is the energy of marriage. Like in the true sense, obviously, but really cementing a contract or a connection in some way. It's also going to show you what is worth the effort and where you might like. It's also showing you where maybe partnerships are somewhat burdensome. All right, so what's required here really is honesty from you and for you. All right, which nothing wrong with that. The Neptune Pluto connection is happening between the 5th and the 7th. Flirtatious, fruitful ideas. You could be rethinking romance. You might be getting a lot of creative juices flowing at this time. It's really helping you understand yourself on a deeper level because it's showing you that what you consider play or getting into that light-hearted energy of play in life is what really spurs you on. It's showing you, you know, there's a chance here to tap back into the flow of your life and the stream of your energies as well in a childlike way. Play, luck, fun. There's something here about this as well that kind of says, like, if you're willing to take a little risk or a gamble, it'll pay off. For this, you've got the 5 of Swords. So you've got to be prepared. I mean, have you ever seen a Virgo in an argument? When I tell you, ooh, like, ooh, yeah, it could be that. So, you know, I don't think this is about fighting, but I do think, because the 5 of Swords it basically is a card that says to you, pick your battles, right? And this full moon is highlighting to you, you only fight for things that you really want to keep. Otherwise, what's the point? Make the choice. Determine which it is for you at this moment in time. Personal, professional, or platonic. If it's working, fight for it. If it's not, there's your answer. Libra. This full moon for you is happening in your 6th house. It's bringing a spotlight to your daily routines, habits, rituals. It's really nice thing for you as well, because it's giving you a clear insight into what needs to be adjusted and changed, because you see it clearly under the light of this full moon, which means that you're also understanding who or what is standing in your way, or maybe even what's impacting your personal health at this time. There's a great journal. This is a great time for you guys to journal in some way, because it will give you insights into what you're looking at and for. I actually love Saturn here for you as well, because it's really giving you, it's helping you take responsibility for your own health. And it's also helping your work life, right? No longer just accepting that, you know, what's handed to you, but becoming an active participant in, well, this is what I want to do, and this is where I want to drive my work forward. It is the 6th house, so this might also highlight to you where you've got somebody who is an enemy at work, someone who's not a fan, someone who doesn't really stand for you or behind you as they have played themselves out to. Now, the Pluto-Neptune energy is happening across the 4th and the 6th house for you. An opportunity for you at this time is highlighted by the full moon. And it's like you have a chance to create a home-based business if you're into that sort of thing and you feel like it's a good shout. It could also improve the business that you have. And now is the time to really dig deep into your emotions around home, family, you know, and what's gone into making you who you are. Like really examining the energy around your roots and your root system when it comes to family could really help right now. And this could be that you're getting a chance to change the home or the home life in some regard to fit what you need to become an environment that's conducive to what you're trying to build or what you want to build. For this, you've got the 7 of Cups. So this is a card of confusion. It's also a card of too much on the plate. In terms of the too much on the plate, find a way to streamline it. You can do everything, just not all at the same time. And the other thing with this card as well, in terms of like it can represent self-illusory tendencies. And what that card always says to me is, you are either overthinking it or underestimating somebody else's commitment. All right, so just something to think about here. Scorpio, this for you is happening in your 5th house. It's all about fun, enjoyment, your personal pursuit of pleasure. This is a creative full moon. If you're pregnant, this could be a time where you're giving birth. If you want children, this could be, you know, where it finally happens and you get that really good news, or you're like, hang on a sec, something's going on here, and then you have that news. So this could be a wonderful moment where you start to, for those of you that have children, this could be a really wonderful time where you start to outline the ground rules, excuse me, around how life should be. And if you've got children, this is perfect, because it's like you can communicate with them in a way that provides stability and security for them. And it's helping you bond more because they trust you more, you know, to say, okay, you know what, these are the confines. I understand what they are. I also love this as a peak experience for your own creativity. If you don't have children and you're not interested in that, this is a time to create. It's a time to see your creations come to life or push them out into the world in some way. Now, that Pluto-Neptune sextile, this is an opportunity for you, because it's happening across your 3rd house and your 5th house. You're able to communicate your ideas really effectively at this time. And it's like, you know, when you say to somebody, like, do you see what I mean? Like, they will see what you mean. They'll get it, because your language is landing in the right way at this time, because it's clear. I love this because it's providing you, like, I almost feel like at this time you'll be able to create anything that you need. And that's a really great space to be in. I love this as well for the chance to restructure things when it comes to how you use your words, how you use your mind, how you create, what you create. Creativity really is like a superpower, and it really is an undervalued skill. And, you know, because you know, in this day and age, we've reduced everything to just the word that it has. And it's a really sad state of affairs, because, you know, and the best way I can describe this is like, you know, in some languages, they don't have a certain word. You have to really describe an entire concept. That's what I really wish people would see when they think creativity. It's not just painting or, you know, expressive interpretive dance. I know that was very good, wasn't it? Right, it's not just that. Creativity is using all of your internal thoughts and energies and emotions and finding a solution to something, or allowing pure life and light and consciousness to bubble up out of you onto a page, into words, into movement, into whatever. Creativity is an undervalued skill, right? And the third house is skills. So love this. Let your creativity reign at this time. Your card is the Eight of Swords. Break out of the box, all right? Like, break out of the box, release the confines, let yourself speak and laugh and roll and twist and play. You know, if you're partnered, tease them, bite them, nibble, you know, give them a little nip, you know, or, you know, if you're anything like, you know, I really enjoy hard banter. That I have a warped sense of humor. What do you want from me? Or, you know, like really annoying practical jokes, stuff like that. You know, where you scare the life out of somebody, or you pants them in public. You know, all of that kind of stuff. Horseplay, right? This is a fifth house full moon for you. Enjoy it. Find a way to tap back into that if you're partnered, and if you're single, get out there and mingle. Okay. All right. For Sagittarius, you've got, for you guys, this is happening in your fourth house: home, family, property, real estate. This could literally mean the start of, so we've been seeing for a lot of Sagittarians moving, changing of homes, etc., moving countries for a lot of you since I think it was like since October of 2021. And so far I've had so many Saggy people kind of taking this journey. I think this one will probably start the process for you. I think there's a strong chance that you start to understand your emotions better, and that this time, because of that stabling Saturn, you're able to regulate those emotions much more, and also to strengthen your inner scaffolding, right? There's a sense of real deep self-honesty here about like how you came to be, like who and where you are in life at this moment in time. What I really enjoy about this most for you is you get a really much deeper understanding of the values and the worth that you have, and that has nothing to do with money, but can still no doubt be lucrative. It's like you bypass what it should be, you get to some deep fundamental truth, and you're like, wow, that's fucking awesome. And then you have an epiphany of how that could actually be very good for you financially. Because the Pluto-Neptune sextile it's a financial opportunity here that comes through your family. This could be an inheritance, but it's likely to be an offer of support of some kind. Maybe they give you a financial gift. You know, something here says support, connection, collaboration with and through the family or the home sector. You might also see that your home is richer than you think or feel. Maybe finding hidden value in your home or your living situation. Either way, there is a chance to increase your finances here through this full moon in some regard. But remember what I said to you about the vision. You let it unfold in front of you. You don't chase it or, you know, stare directly at it. You let it unfold, you know, from the corner of your eye. Like, people always used to say this to me, like, how do you hold a vision then? Like, if you can't look directly at it, you look to the side of it. You look, like, if you see it form in your periphery, you kind of look, you know, like in the corner, right? You just let it play out. You let it do its thing. When you're doing the eye gazing or the mirror gazing, you don't look directly at your face. As soon as you do, the vision will collapse. And it's the same thing for you, Sagittarius. Like, in this regard, when you have, like, when you can feel, oh, okay, this could be, I don't know how, but don't worry about that. Just let it unfold. You've got to be playful with it. For Capricorn, this no, Saggy, you have the Justice card, right? This is a card of commitment. So you've got to be in it. You've got to be honest and willing and able enough to say to yourself, this is what I would like to do with this. That Justice card is also a contract of some sort. So this could be a contract around home, family, and or property, or maybe even a partnership that's forged within those things. Capricorn, this for you is happening in your third house, a full moon in the space of the chart where the moon exalts, It's great because it's highlighting to you everything and anything that you have or you need or you want to say. You are spotlighted in this regard. And so if you've got ideas that you want to share or present with the world, this is a great month to do it, right? Like, not month, like this is the great time to do it, the great moment. If you have, if you've got clear ideas of what you're ready to put into the pot, or even if you've got a brilliant idea that you're now like, this full moon might bring an idea to you that comes fully formed. It makes sense, right? This is a place of learning, a skill set, a daily business of some sort, because the third house is daily everything. Get busy being busy, right? Enjoy the hubbub, the here, the going here, you're taking a class there, you're going to meet these people for coffee, you're having dinner with friends one night. Like, this is social butterfly stuff. Tap into it, right? Because it's like you're connecting with someone potentially here as well that really matters for you a lot in a new way. And it's like the communication between you and somebody that matters to you could be really clear at this time. The Pluto-Neptune sextile is happening across the first house and the third house. So you are hosting Pluto for the final time this year until January. This is a chance to readdress yourself and redefine yourself, to take stock of the changes that you've already made over the last 15 years, how much you have really developed, shifted, changed, etc. And in a sextile to Neptune in your third house, this is about you communicating your needs, being honest and open and clear about what your needs are. And it's like those new lines of communication or strengthening old ones that's happening for you right now. You actually really get a chance to show people who are ready to be now, and also letting them decide if they're on board or not. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're seeing all of your connections and you're just able to talk around them so much better. For this, you've got the Nine of Swords. Get out of your damn head. All right. This is not a time, like, yes, because the third house is a lot of mental activity. It absolutely is. But the best way to use this is to do something with it. Get out and about. Go make your life the epitome of what you believe or perceive to be a social butterfly. The day before, the day of, and the day after the full moon. All right. Aquarius, my sun sign brothers and sisters. This full moon is going to be one of the best. I think for you, this is for you and your sign. I actually think this full moon is going to be one of the better ones. Saturn has been in your second house for a while now, so you're acclimatizing. It is you. Saturn is your ruling planet from the ancient world, at least. And it's like you're challenged. Maybe you've been challenged on a material level, on a financial level, but it's going to show you how to be efficient, how to be smart. Now, while your finances might have been challenged, or, like I said, that material plane has been maybe a little bit all over the place, it's showing you how to get organized with your resources, and maybe not to identify so much with what you give away anymore, but more interested in what you can build for yourself. Now, a lot of people might be like, oh, like, yes, effectively what I'm saying to you is it's a time for you to be selfish. And that doesn't mean, blocking everyone else out and saying, well, screw you, you don't matter. It's not that at all. It's about really owning and claiming your space and saying, I'm valuable and I have a lot of worth, even when I'm not giving things away for free to other people because I feel that they need it more, right? This is a time to get self-centered, self-focused. Saturn in, the old world astrology is you. So it's providing you with a steadying influence around your self-worth, your self-esteem, and your value. It's giving you the cushion that you need to build those things for yourself. It helps you understand like what your valuable possessions internally really actually are, what your gifts, skills, resources, etc. And then it's like, are they worth what you see it as? It's helping you fortify your finances from this moment on. Your financial future is changing here, but the inner work around this has to be done. There's no getting around it, right? It's Saturn. Saturn is a reality check. You can either pass the lesson the hard way the first time round, or you can come back to it. By the way, Saturn takes around 30 years to come back to a sign, so just putting that out there. Pluto, Neptune, sextile. I know everyone's like, ooh, okay, sassy. The Pluto-Neptune sextile. This is an opportunity, likely to be one that comes in from your past, a financial or a lucrative connection that didn't quite get the chance to come to be, comes back, and it's like you either say yes or no. If you say no, something else will come in. If you say yes, it's like you get a second chance here. But it speaks here, it's kind of like there's a sense of you banishing the cruel self-talk. And the ways that you've seen your own worth in the past, right? And that have maybe been destructive. This is a reinvention of some kind, but it comes from a very deep place. And you might feel the need to kind of go under the radar from here, while you formulate your next plans or moves, etc. Absolutely fine. For this, you've got the Hanged Man, right? This card, in its dysfunctional sense, represents martyrdom. Pisces is the sign of martyrdom and self-sacrifice. Because this is happening in your second house, this is basically saying you've got to stop putting your worth and your wealth out there now, Aquarius, and start building and growing it and sharing it from within with yourself, for yourself. The time of self-sacrifice is done, all right? It's time for you now to be in that space for yourself. Finally, last but definitely never least, my dear Pisces, this for you is your full moon. You get one full moon, one new moon, one full moon per sign per year. This is your astrological lunar moment. This is all the people and all the world, which is lunar. Because lunar rules, the material world and the everyday, and people, the people as a collective. They all have their eyes on you because Luna is shining her light purely on and through your sign. What do you really feel ready to share about yourself with the world? Are you going to use this moment of fame and recognition? It's like, because this is a first house full moon, it's highlighting the changes, the shifts that are happening within you and your personal lifescape. It's highlighting the deep shifts that are taking place within you. And, the conjunction to Saturn, you're being made into a stronger, more powerful sense of who you are, helping you take more responsibility for what works for you and what doesn't. You're also realizing that you maybe need to start doing more to assist or advance yourself from a place within, right? So again, similar message to what I said to Aquarius. Saturn, you're ruling your 12th house, your natural space in the chart actually, is showing you how your inner structures need to be redefined, and maybe because of your modern ruler of Neptune being in that space as well, how they need to be redesigned. Pluto, sextile to Neptune, it's an opportunity through friends, old friends, and new connections that are potentially coming in here. You might be picking up an old idea or goal of some sort, something that maybe you'd wanted for a long time, maybe you didn't get it. It's a moment of pure honesty with yourself about where you are getting a chance to really course correct. And once you've made the choice, everything else will settle in to help you. I think really this is helping you envision a long-range goal or plan in a way that is grounded, right? Like you're finally, now that you've got Saturn in your sign, you're able to take those ideas and put them into strategies and organize them to actually execute them. It's no longer just a fantasy. You're being shown how to make it real. If this is really in alignment with all that you are and all that you feel yourself to be, this is a figure it out moon. All right, like this is really a figure it out moment for you, and I think it will reveal the right steps. All you've got to do is listen deeply. Your card is the 5 of Cups, and maybe what comes with this is a grieving. Maybe you look at something and say, wow, I really have been a little bit aimless up until this moment. Or, wow, you know what? I didn't realize that I had actually really wanted this thing, or that maybe I'd given up on a goal, a hope, a wish, or a dream, or whatever. But you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to pick it back up and I'm going for gold this time. There's something here where you are able to release what you know is kind of time, and you're ready to go in, right? I love this for you. So with that said, Pisces, this is your full moon make sure you use it to the best of your ability. With that said, I wish you all an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic full moon in the sign of Pisces. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Did you love it? Did you loathe it? What's going on for you? What shows up for you? How does this reading speak to and help you? I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for sharing. It really does mean a lot. Take care, and I'll see you soon.